Hello. It's a little bit dark in here, don't you think? Yeah. Fuck. Alright. Oh. Hello, my name is Mr. Jack Falafel, but you guys can call me Jack, and I like to make custom clothes, and you can too. Paul can too, that is. Today I'm making a custom t-shirt inspired by another one of my favorite YouTubers, Paul Cantu. Paul is honestly one of my inspirations on YouTube. He's really talented. He's kind of like me if I was actually funny and was good at art. But we'll get there eventually. Anyway, I did want to thrift an item to paint in this video. I did go down to my local op shop, but unfortunately, I don't know if it's because of the season, there's just not too much there. But there was only 5 shirts in my size, and 3 of them were business shirts, and the other 2 were those 2 shirts that your fucking uncle brings back from Bali. You know the ones, these ones. I really wish I could thrift America because I get so jealous watching all of these videos and you're pulling out NBA jerseys and Versace and a bunch of stuff, It's like dumpster diving. It's just not as good in Australia as it is in the States. But because I am still a cheap bastard, I didn't want to spend too much money. I just went down to Kmart. I picked up a plain white shirt for $3.75, which is a pretty good bargain for a t-shirt. And it's a nice plain white canvas for me to start my project on. So I just went ahead and taped that down to my table and I was pretty much ready to get started. I started out this project by drawing a sketch of Paul, and I've actually been practicing sketching a little bit more recently. I really want to get better at drawing because I think that'll help me understand how a face works, and that'll help me paint a lot better. What I did was I just picked the first picture that shows up on a Google search of Paul Cantu, which is of course Paul dressed up like a sweet little angel. And it's actually the best photo that I could find of his face anyway. So I just had a go at sketching that. I think it turned out pretty well. I think I am getting a bit better at drawing faces, so hopefully my art will start to improve. So once I understood what Paul's face actually looked like, I went ahead and I decided to paint a big portrait of him on the back. A portrait, if you will. Yes, I said portrait, you heard me right. I did start with the background first. I made up some nice blue fabric paint to represent the sky in the background. Also made up some black fabric paint to do his shirt. I just started filling in large areas around his head. I left kind of a blank silhouette of where his face was going to be. And then I got the black paint. I started painting his shirt. I did leave some space for his hands, but I ended up talking myself out of it. I wasn't feeling confident enough to paint his hands just yet. So I just thought I'd go with the straight portrait. I'd fill in the rest of the shirt with the black paint. I will do hands at one point, I just need to practice them. I used a red pencil to sketch out some of the main features of his face, like his eyes, nose, mouth, and his chin and his hairline, just so I knew pretty much where I was going to be painting. It's a bit hard to see on camera, and it's a bit hard to see in real life, but that's kind of the point. I don't want to see the red pencil after I paint over it. I don't want it to shine through or anything. I did want to make this a bit more realistic than some of my previous work, so I did start with some lighter colored paint and some darker paint. I went in and did some highlights and some lowlights. I started doing a few extra details around his eyes, trying to get them to the right kind of shape and outline fairly well, but I think it came out a little bit too thick, so it doesn't quite look too realistic. It's just something I'm gonna have to try and fix and work on in the future. The fabric is a little bit hard to paint on. It's hard to get nice thin lines, I found, but those are just excuses, I tried adding a few midtones to cover his face and blend it in a bit more so it wasn't just a patchy mess. I think it was turning out okay, a little bit too dark in some areas, but overall I was still happy with it. I also didn't want to get stuck in one spot, just getting too meticulous and like getting really like up there and involved in any one spot. I didn't want to get stuck. Sometimes I have a real problem with that, you know, I just get stuck on one little part and then I can't move on. I was really trying to avoid that, so I was trying to do his whole face in general and keep it about the same level of finish the whole time. I did wait a little bit to do his mouth and his hair, but I did eventually do that. So I mixed up some pink paint and started doing his lips, which were a little bit too thick. And I know I'm being a little bit too critical of myself while I'm recording this. I'm just doing it so you guys don't have to. I am my own worst critic, I promise you that. If you want to support me though, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up. Teeth is definitely another area that I need to practice on and try to do better at rendering it and finishing it off. I don't think it looks too bad, but it doesn't look as realistic as some of the other parts of his face. I just need to be a bit more consistent, I think, which is only going to happen the more videos I make and the more I practice. So with some darker paint, I did make some outlines around his face and his chin. I did a little bit of his beard, and then I tried to do his hair. Now the hair, I did try to do like a few thin lines and try to like blend it nicely, but in the end it kind of turned into a big muddy puddle on top of his head. I don't think it looks too bad, but like, to be honest, I'm not very happy with the hair. I think that's the part that I don't like the most. In saying that though, I do think this is my best portrait so far. I know it doesn't make so much sense because I am being very critical, but it's just part of my process. I'm trying to learn and get better and just critique my own work, you know, so I do make improvements. I know what I need to work on and get better at, but I really do think it's the best portrait I've done so far. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and move on to the front of the shirt. For the front, I really wanted to create a logo that kind of represents Paul, and because I do think he is like the king of thrift, what I came up with was just the word thrifted. I tried to make that in a very like 90s style, because that's kind of the vibe that he's always had and always gone for. Paul loves the 90s, so I tried to make it kind of blocky and abstract but not too far out there. I picked some like 90s-ish colors, like I used a lighter purple for the background. I painted that first, and then I went with a bright orange for the actual letters of the logo. I also wanted to come up with a name for the people that follow Paul. I don't think he's actually got a name for his followers or anything, like, you know, there's like the 19-year-olds for PewDiePie, there's the Pillow Gang or whatever for that guy. But I don't think Paul actually has one. I was thinking about it, I came up with the Cantu Crew. I don't know if you like that, Paul, and you'll have to let me know. But yeah, that's what I came up with. I wanted to put Thrifted at the top in big letters and then Cantu Crew underneath, kind of as like little blocks. So once I filled in the letters with the orange, I got a dark red and created some like shadow effects on one side, and then I had like a lighter orange. I used it to like brighten up the other side a little bit. And other than the placement, I'm very happy with it because it's a little bit off center, but you know, it's part of the custom aesthetic, you know. It's just another thing I gotta work on. And with that, I was pretty much done. Alright, before I show you the finished piece, I will ask you to please like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new around here and you want to see more of this kind of content. Please let me know if you want to see any other YouTubers painted on a piece of clothing, or if you have any other ideas for me. Please go check out Paul's channel as well. I think he's like pretty fly for a white guy. I really think he deserves like all the support in the world because he's just this funny little dude, and he's one of my heroes, I guess. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Here's my Cantu Crew shirt, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.